Well, thank you, Mr. In German they say Frühstücksmeister. Well, this is not technical. It's more about how Frans worked at university, and I had the pleasure to work with Frans and cooperate with him from late 70s, a long time. And I'm glad that you also are in the same position as I am now, as a retired person. So here you see some pictures where Frans worked. I come back to that. This is the content of the lecture, from master to professor. And in between there was the PhD. In '78, Frans came to our working group, the Schalkwijk research group on information theory. And he wanted to work on the brain and information theory, he said. But, well, I think it was too early and Frans had to do something else. And he worked on the binary multiplying channel. Especially with Piet Schalkwijk, he was interested in the capacity region of this channel, which you see here. Very simple, two users, and they have a feedback line from this multiplier. At that time, his result was a proof of the capacity region, and this is Frans sitting at his desk. We have a desk for all our students at that time. This was the computer where he worked on, which was a prime mini computer. Very sophisticated, but it ended actually in this research on the two-way channel in 1979 with a heavy discussion with Günter Dück and Rudy Altswede, who was at that time a famous person in multi-user information theory. Actually, I think that this was the start of the career of Frans in multi-user information theory. After that, he looked for a new place, and he went to KU Leuven with Edward, who is here, and he worked on the multiple access channel, and multiple in this case is 2. You always say multiple, but you mean 2. Well, he got his PhD from Leuven, which is, I think this is a picture, a nice picture. You didn't work there, but you worked at the Department of Mathematics with Edward, and this is the booklet that Frans produced. And I still have in my office, but not at home. Well, as a reward, it was at that time a very good thesis and very good work, and at that time there was something like a Marconi Award, and Frans got the Young Scientist Award in 1982 for his work in The Hague, in the Ridderzaal, where normally the government is starting each year. And this is the daughter of Marconi. And it was a great event. And the Marconi Award itself for the senior scientist was was awarded to Arthur Clarke in 1945. He was a writer, science fiction writer, and he predicted in 45 that with the 3 satellites you could cover the Earth. You didn't need more than 3 satellites. At that time, it was a very interesting piece of work. This is Klaus. He was still active at that time, but Frans got the award from the daughter, not from Klaus. After that, we offered Frans a job in Eindhoven, and he worked on several topics. I gave here some of the topics. I mentioned the two access channel in several constellations. The binary multiplying channel still continued with that, and there will be a talk by there on the two-way channel. The most famous one at the moment is this Ctw algorithm. Come back to that later. It's a data compression algorithm. Data compression, I try to explain it here. You have a tin of cola and you have such a machine. You push it back and you get something that's very small, and you can decompress it again and you have this tin again. One of the topics I also worked on, but in a different direction, is biometrics, fingerprints, and clonable functions. And the last topic I saw Frans was working on shaping. That's, I guess, already an old topic from earlier days also. I have to mention the work Frans did in the meantime for Philips as an advisor for Royal Philips. It still exists, I think. Still. Well, this was the group. In second from the left is Piet Schalkwijk. Many people will recognize him. Charlie, me, Jan Royakkers, and Joop de Brouwer, and Frans on the left, on an excursion to the Royal Palace at Loon in Apeldoorn. We had a very pleasant time, I should say. We had no restrictions, no publication pressure, no teaching pressure. Everything was very relaxed. So we could join the famous conferences, and we went as a whole group to the ISIT in St. Jovit in Canada, 1983. And we went via New York, we came back, and there was an interesting story that we had in New York, but maybe Frans can tell you more about that. Frans? Well, we had, when Frans came, we had to find a new topic and an interesting topic, and we went to Norwich in England by boat. There were many famous speakers, and if you have the opportunity, you should look in the proceedings of this booklet by Joseph Krasinski in order to see what kind of topics people were working at that time. And this is the 1985 Symposium in Brighton, where Shannon was a participant. I got a picture here that we were amusing ourselves on the pier in Brighton. So we were in a very relaxed environment. From the work that Frans did, there were two Best Paper Awards for the IEEE IT Society. Frans got with Yuri Starkov and Challing, who is also here. The Context-3 Weighting Method Best Paper Award, which is very high, on a very high level. And the second award is with Tanya Ignatenko on biometrical systems. Not many people have these Best Paper Awards from IT Society. Well, there was, of course, much more. Frans was an invited speaker at the Information Theory Symposium in Istanbul. You see a picture of him here. And he was also a speaker at the Shannon celebration, 100-year celebration in Paderborn, which was also very interesting. And here I took this picture. You see these 6 guys. Maybe question what they are doing, but these are the IT presidents, IEEE IT presidents. 4 were from Germany. So I think we can expect a lot from Germany in the coming years. Publication pressure, we didn't know what it was. We put the pressure on ourselves. And I think that's the best for a researcher, if you can work in a relaxed environment. Why all this pressure? And we had a private joke, Frans and I, when we published an IEEE paper, we said it is another mark on our gravestone. And we had many marks at that time. So it gives the relativity of the publication pressure. But also, and that was a tradition, we had a celebration with this appelflapper from the bakery in Woensel. Well, I put here the Google Scholar of France, and I was a bit surprised because if you look at this curve, it gives you the well, it shows how many people or how interesting your research is. If the line is high here, then people are interested in your work. They cite the citation index actually. They cite you, but well, people like this, especially people from human resources. But I looked at it, it's a bit strange what happens here, because normally it should go down if you retire, but in France's case it went up. It's a bit strange. What happens there? Well, I think what happens there is that Frans found a new environment in the group of Jan Bergmans. This is part of the students and staff members. And Frans is in the left. You see, this Frans is all on the left. Okay. One of the most prestigious awards actually is the Ieee Fellowship. And Frans got that one in 2006 or 5 for contributions to multi-user information theory and activities for the scientific community. And if you want to know how important it is, it's about 0.1% of the Ieee community gets it per year. So for information theory, we have roughly, on the average, 3 people that get this award from the information theory group. So it's really a high achievement. Activities. I put here some of the activities. I will not go through all of them, but I think most important one is on the top. It's as an associate editor for Shannon Theory. That means you have to check all the papers and distribute them to reviewers that don't want to answer, and all those kind of problems that appear. Frans organized scientific meetings at TUE, especially the Van der Meulen Seminar. And I think that's also interesting. Not only scientific, but also he was involved in the IEEE Women Baking Contest. Right, Frans? I can see. Well, it was not there when I was at university, otherwise I would also take part in this. So it's eating and enjoying the young students, I guess. Okay. Well, Frans and I, we know each other very long time, and this picture actually here was taken after the trip to Canada in 1983, and we had the pleasure of being invited by Gerard Kramer in 2018, and actually we took the same picture. It's a bit fuzzy, it's a bit blurred, but you will recognize our position. Nothing changed. Okay. Frans, I saw from your website the statement, information is driving our society. And I also saw the following: I want to understand how information should be gathered, protected, communicated, stored, processed, and used in the best possible way. So this is a very, very challenging statement, I think, and I hope that you at least understand some of these topics that are around, because very complicated. I come to the end. Prost, Frans, we say in Germany. Thank you for your contributions to information theory, for being a fine colleague. We always worked very well together. For a friendship. You see one of the pictures here, enjoying a conference somewhere in Italy, and for a great career. And you see, this is what we call a Weizenbier in Germany. Okay? It's a big glass, half a liter. And for the future, Frans, I think I have to wish you many happy years with Monique. Right? And this is the end of my presentation.